Clint Eastwood is the ultimate Hollywood icon, a living legend who defined toughness on screen and built an empire off it. With a $375 million fortune, a fleet of rare classic cars, multiple sprawling estates, and a love life that defies age, Clint Eastwood makes retirement look like a word that doesn't belong in his vocabulary. At 95, Clint Eastwood isn't just getting by. He's thriving, from directing award-worthy films to quietly dating women decades younger. He continues to live life entirely on his own terms. Stick around for an unfiltered glimpse into Clint Eastwood's lavish lifestyle in 2025. The early life of Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood was born on May 31, 1930, while his parents, Ruth and Clinton Eastwood, were living near Lake Merritt in Oakland, California. The Eastwoods were a solid middle-class family with deep American roots. When Clint was 10, his family settled in Piedmont, California, a well-off suburb where they lived comfortably, complete with a swimming pool, country club membership, and a car for each parent. Clint's father worked as an executive at Georgia Pacific, while his mother later took a clerical job at IBM. School wasn't exactly Clint Eastwood's strong suit. At Piedmont Middle School, he struggled so much with grades that he got held back and had to make up classes in summer school. But his real trouble started in high school. After enrolling at Piedmont High in 1945, Clint's rebellious streak kicked in. He was a prankster with a knack for pushing limits. Things came to a head when he scribbled something obscene on the school's athletic scoreboard and later burned an effigy on the lawn. That, plus a string of other missteps, got him booted out. His education didn't end there, though. He transferred to Oakland Technical High School, where he finally managed to graduate, though not with the usual fanfare. His diploma came in February 1949, long after most of his peers had moved on. Not exactly the smooth path to success you'd expect from a future Hollywood legend, but then again, Eastwood never did follow the usual script, finding his footing. Clint's early struggles. Clint worked his way through a string of odd jobs: lifeguard, paperboy, grocery clerk, even fighting forest fires and caddying at golf courses. He later joked about briefly considering college, even looking into Seattle University in 1951, but life had other plans. The Army drafted him during the Korean War, sending him to Fort Ord in California. Rumor has it he caught the eye of an officer's daughter, which might have helped him avoid frontline deployment. But danger still found him. On a trip back from Seattle, the military plane he was riding in ran out of fuel and plunged into the Pacific near Point Reyes. Clint and the pilot survived, paddling 2 miles to shore on a life raft. By February 1953, his service was over, and he was back in civilian life, still unsure of what came next. Hollywood wasn't even on his radar yet. Clint Eastwood's path to stardom began with a lucky break. Universal Studios camera crews were filming at Fort Ord when someone spotted the tall, lean soldier and invited him to meet their director. But Eastwood's biographers tell another tale, that an old Army buddy named Chuck Hill, who had Hollywood connections, snuck him onto the Universal lot and introduced him to a cameraman. However he got there, Eastwood certainly looked the part at 6'4", but his acting left much to be desired. The director, Arthur Lubin, later recalled, he was quite amateurish. He didn't know which way to turn or which way to go or do anything. Still, Lubin saw potential in the young man's striking presence and signed him to a $100 a week contract in April 1954. Those early days were rough. Studio executives cringed at Eastwood's stiff delivery and his odd habit of speaking through clenched teeth, a quirk that would later become his signature style. They packed him off to acting classes, where he began the slow work of transforming from an awkward novice into a screen presence. After failing his first major audition for 1954's 6 Bridges to Cross, he scraped by with bit parts. His first real credit came in 1955's Revenge of the Creature, where he played a lab technician so forgettable that most viewers missed him entirely. The real turning point came in 1958 when CBS cast him as Rowdy Yates in Rawhide. The Western series became a surprise hit, climbing into the top 20 within weeks. But Eastwood never quite warmed to his character. At nearly 30, playing a naive young cowboy felt beneath him. Still, he showed up, collected his paycheck, $750 per episode at first, and quietly learned the ropes. By the time Rawhide was canceled in 1965, by then paying him $119,000 per episode, he had outgrown television. That severance check bought him time to wait for the right film role. Reflecting on his tireless work ethic, Eastwood once said, "People ask why I keep working at this stage. There are always new stories to tell, and as long as people want me to tell them, I'll be there." That quiet determination, shaped by years of rejection and being boxed into certain roles, became one of his biggest strengths. And speaking of strengths, his unwavering drive has paid off in more ways than one. Over the years, Clint's remarkable career has earned him an equally impressive net worth. Inside the Empire, breaking down Clint's $375 million net worth. By 2025, Clint Eastwood's net worth is estimated at a staggering $375 million, a testament to his 7-decade reign in Hollywood as both a legendary actor and director. In Rawhide, Eastwood earned just $700 per episode at the start, about $7,600 today. But that role was his golden ticket. The show's success led him to Italy, where director Sergio Leone cast him in what would become 3 iconic spaghetti westerns. These films, known for gritty anti-heroes and dramatic shootouts, turned Eastwood into a global star. His first film with Leone, A Fistful of Dollars, 1964, paid him a modest $15,000. By the sequel, For a Few Dollars More, 1965, his salary jumped to $50,000. But it was the third film, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966, where Eastwood truly flexed his negotiating power, securing $250,000, 10% of U.S. profits, and even a Ferrari. When all 3 movies hit U.S. theaters in 1967, they were instant hits, cementing Eastwood's tough guy image. From there, his career soared. By the late 1960s, Clint Eastwood wasn't just a rising star, he was cashing in. For Hang 'em High, 1968, he scored $400,000 plus 25% of the box office. That same year, Where Eagles Dare paid him $750,000, and Coogan's Bluff pushed him into the $1 million club with a cool $1 million salary. Eastwood stepped into directing with 1971's Play Misty for Me, a psychological thriller that quietly earned $10.6 million. It was the start of a second act that would prove just as successful as his acting career. In the 60s, he demanded a cut of the profits, not just upfront pay. That means many of his paychecks likely ballooned long after filming wrapped. Eastwood's biggest hits most likely landed him 8-figure paydays. Gran Torino earned him a $270 million box office smash. Between directing and starring, he almost certainly walked away with tens of millions. Then there's American Sniper, his highest-grossing film ever, $550 million worldwide. Though he didn't appear on screen, if he negotiated even a small slice of the profits, his take would have been massive. Eastwood didn't just ride Hollywood's waves, he learned how to steer them. And that's how you build a $375 million fortune. Built different, how Clint's rugged nature defined him. Hollywood heroes used to fit a simple mold: tall, strong-jawed, white, and unmistakably American. They were the kind of men boys looked up to. Clint Eastwood didn't just fit that mold, he broke it and rebuilt it in his own image. From the very beginning, Eastwood stood out. Born at San Francisco's St. Francis Memorial Hospital, he was a whopping 11 pounds, 6 ounces at birth, so big the nurses called him Samson. That rugged, larger-than-life presence never left him. Standing at 6'4", with a quiet intensity and a stare that could stop a man cold, Eastwood became the definition of tough. With just a squint and a whisper, he turned the Western hero into something darker, grittier, and far more interesting. In Dirty Harry, he embodied the ultimate tough cop, yet over time, his films began questioning that same brand of masculinity. By Unforgiven, he was dismantling the myth of the Western hero. In $1 Million Baby, he outright rejected the idea that strength means never showing weakness. Even off-screen, Eastwood's presence commands respect. A crew member on The Rookie once joked, "The boss is really buffed." He made us think about what toughness really means and whether it's always a virtue. That's why, after all these years, he's still the standard. Most actors have to transform for a role. Bulking up, slimming down, whatever it takes. But Clint Eastwood has always been in fighting shape. At 6'4" inches and a lean 190 pounds, he even landed on the cover of Muscle and Fitness. When he needed to pack on muscle for The Rookie, Eastwood didn't mess around. "If I'm working nights, I train days. If I'm working days, I train nights," he once said. "After an all-night shoot, I'll sleep till 3 p.m., hit the gym, then go straight back to work." Hell of a social life, right? His doctor, Harry Demopoulos, put it bluntly, "The man's a machine." Eastwood avoided fat, loaded up on antioxidants, and most surprisingly made sleep a priority. When hooked up to a stress test, Demopoulos said, "Clint wins. He's almost superhuman." Underwater body fat testing clocked him at under 10%, a number most athletes would envy. "I've never carried much fat," Eastwood explained, "but I've always watched what I eat. You get older, you realize, there's no 'I'll do it tomorrow,'" he said. "It's part of your life. You just do it." No wonder the guys lasted this long. Most actors fade. Eastwood just tightens his grip. Of course, that rugged charm didn't just work on audiences. It worked on women, too. With his towering frame, piercing gaze, and that quiet confidence, Eastwood's love life was as storied as his career. Some might say he was just too hard to resist. Love, scandals, and secrets. The women in Clint Eastwood's life. Clint Eastwood's love life has always been complex, full of highs, lows, and plenty of overlapping relationships. Over the years, he's had numerous romantic entanglements, both casual and serious, many of which crossed paths. What's more, Eastwood has 8 known children by 6 different women, but only half of those children were acknowledged publicly at the time they were born. And to this day, Eastwood hasn't confirmed the exact number of kids he has. Looking back at his early years, Eastwood once shared with film historian Richard Schickel that he lost his virginity at just 14 to a neighbor. By 19, he was already caught up in a stormy relationship with a schoolteacher in her 20s. That ended badly. She allegedly stalked him and even threatened suicide after he broke things off. By the early spring of 1953, things took a different turn. Eastwood met Maggie Johnson, a 22-year-old secretary working for an auto parts firm in the San Francisco area. They hit it off after being set up on a blind date. Not long after, Clint left for Seattle, where he briefly joined a local theater group, mainly to impress a woman he liked. But there was more going on behind the scenes. According to McGilligan, the woman Clint was involved with in Seattle ended up pregnant. She gave birth to a daughter in February 1954 and placed the baby for adoption. That child, Lori Murray, wouldn't be publicly linked to Eastwood until decades later. Eastwood got engaged to Maggie Johnson in October 1953 and married her that December, just weeks before Lori was born. To this day, there's no clear explanation for why he went through with the wedding while another woman was carrying his child. Lori's existence remained completely out of the public eye until 2018, when she was finally acknowledged as part of the Eastwood family at the age of 64. Eastwood's early marriage to Maggie Johnson was rocky from the start. He reportedly had doubts. They were young, not financially secure, and moving faster than he liked. Johnson, who was the main provider early on, had expected a more traditional courtship. By 1955, while filming Star in the Dust, Eastwood allegedly had an affair with actress Mamie Van Doren. Later that same year, he was rumored to have had a fling with a not-yet-famous Jane Mansfield. He later described that chapter of his life as married bachelorhood. It was during the second season of Rawhide in 1959 that he began a serious relationship with Roxanne Tunis, a dancer and stunt woman he met on set. Their affair quietly stretched over 14 years. Even though both were already married, Tunis was separated. In 1964, their relationship resulted in the birth of a daughter, Kimber Tunis, later known as Kimber Eastwood. Whether Eastwood's wife at the time, Maggie Johnson, knew about Kimber is still up for debate. Some say she didn't have a clue, while others insist she always knew. According to one source quoted by the Inquirer, Johnson even met Roxanne Tunis in person after showing up unannounced to the set of Breezy in 1972. When Kimber's identity was finally made public, she didn't shy away from the spotlight. She confirmed the truth in a 1989 interview, saying, "Yes, Clint Eastwood is my father. I must speak to him about this. I'm partly shocked and partly glad it's all out in the open." She also revealed that when her mother contacted Clint expecting a check, he lashed out, yelling on the phone and showing clear signs of guilt. Decades later, despite everything, the bond between Eastwood and Roxanne seemed to have remained meaningful. When Roxanne Tunis passed away in June 2023, after a brief illness, Clint was deeply affected. One of the lesser-known chapters in Clint's romantic history involves competitive swimmer Anita Lahoist. According to biographer Rhea Brown, during their affair in the late 50s to early 60s, Lahoist terminated a pregnancy without telling Eastwood. As the years rolled on, more names entered the picture. In 1970, food writer Gail Green had a short-lived romance with Eastwood while interviewing him on the set of Two Mules for Sister Sarah. Around the same time, he was also involved with French model Kathy Regin, one of the few flings that attracted media attention while it was actually happening. Then came Danielle Coté, another French model who claimed to have had a 2-year relationship with Clint. She even landed a small part in Paint Your Wagon, though lead actress Jean Seberg, whom Eastwood had a separate 5-month affair with, was apparently unaware of Coté's presence on set. Eastwood also dated Lavon Snow White Ludian, a professional boxer. They stayed friends long after their relationship ended, and according to author Patrick McGilligan, he reportedly had affairs with several co-stars and celebrities, including Inger Stevens, Hang 'em High, Joanne Harris, The Beguiled, actress Jill Benner, French star Catherine Deneuve, actress Susan St. James, columnist Bridget Byrne, socialite Joan Lundberg Hitchcock, and singer Keely Smith. While all this was happening, Eastwood was still married to Maggie Johnson. Despite a long separation, Johnson expressed a desire to reconcile and start a family. The couple went on to have 2 children together, Kyle, born in 1968, and Allison, born in 1972. That same year, Eastwood met actress Sandra Locke through mutual friend Joe Himes at Universal Studios. Locke, though married to gay sculptor Gordon Anderson since 1967, had been living a life of quiet, personal freedom, one that matched Clint's own lifestyle. Their chemistry was instant. By October 1975, while filming The Outlaw Josie Wales in Arizona, Eastwood told Locke his relationship with Maggie was over. The two began living together, and Locke later wrote in her memoir that Clint confessed he'd never been faithful to any woman before her. He even joked that she made him monogamous, a line she cherished at the time. After filming Wrapped, she moved into Clint's Sherman Oaks home, the same one he once shared with Johnson. But Locke never felt comfortable there. Psychologically, it would always be Maggie's, she later wrote. Eventually, they left and moved into a fixer-upper in Bel Air, which took 3 years to renovate. In the meantime, they bounced between properties in California, Idaho, and Clint's Rising River Ranch. Locke underwent 2 abortions and a tubal ligation during their relationship. She admitted that the second abortion was particularly hard, saying she believed their child could have been extraordinary. Despite their deep connection, Locke never divorced her legal husband, Anderson. This eventually strained Clint and Locke's relationship. Locke later said she would have divorced Anderson if Clint had agreed to attend couples therapy with her, but he refused. By the early 1980s, Clint Eastwood seemed to drift back into old patterns. Despite still living with Sandra Locke, he resumed his well-known habit of womanizing. Among the women linked to him during this time were story analyst Megan Rose, actresses Jamie Rose and Rebecca Pearl, both of whom had roles in Tightrope, and animal rights activist Jane Brolin, with whom Eastwood had reportedly been involved off and on since the early 60s. But perhaps the most significant of these relationships was with Jocelyn Reeves, a flight attendant he's said to have met at his restaurant in Carmel, the Hog's Breath Inn. While still committed to Locke in the public eye, Eastwood quietly fathered 2 children with Reeves, Scott, born in March 1986, and Catherine, born in February 1988. What's striking is that neither child's birth certificate listed Clint as the father. It simply read "father declined." Reeves, for her part, reportedly said, "Some family members tell me to file a paternity suit against Clint, but I don't want to." And just like that, one of the most private chapters in Eastwood's complicated personal life stayed under the radar, at least for a while. Right after things fell apart with Sandra Locke, Clint Eastwood was briefly linked to music legend Barbra Streisand. That wasn't the only name that popped up around him in 1989. He also spent time with a handful of women that year, including White Hunter, Black Heart co-star Marissa Berenson, Carmel's mayor Jean Grace, actress Danny Crane, and Barbara Minty, the widow of actor Steve McQueen. But Eastwood's next serious relationship began in October 1988, when he met actress Frances Fisher at a pre-production party for Pink Cadillac. Unfortunately, even as their relationship was serious, Eastwood reportedly strayed again, this time with a worker at the Warner Bros. Movie World theme park. Still, Fisher believed their relationship was the real deal. The two starred together in the Oscar-winning film Unforgiven in 1992, and a year later welcomed a daughter, Francesca, on August 7th, the same day the movie had been released. Yet, even with such a special milestone, Eastwood reportedly asked Fisher to keep the pregnancy quiet until the final trimester, concerned that it might distract from his Oscar campaign. By January 1995, their relationship came to an end. Fisher later admitted that it took her nearly 2 years to truly heal, saying she had to grieve the future she had imagined with him. By the time Frances Fisher was packing her bags and leaving Clint Eastwood's house, it seemed Eastwood had already moved on. He was reportedly dating Dina Ruiz, a TV news anchor 35 years younger than him. They first met in March 1993 when she interviewed him, but it's unclear when their relationship turned romantic. By January 1996, Dina confirmed they were engaged. The two tied the knot on March 31st of that year at the Las Vegas home of casino mogul Steve Wynn, near Shadow Creek Golf Course. Despite his many relationships, this was only Eastwood's second legal marriage. He gushed at the time, "I'm proud to make this lady my wife. She's the one I've been waiting for." Ruiz responded with heartfelt honesty, "The fact that I'm only the second woman he has married really touches me." Later that same year, on December 12th, they welcomed their daughter, Morgan Eastwood. But like many chapters in Eastwood's personal life, this one eventually closed. In August 2013, Dina revealed that she and Clint had been living apart for some time. A few months later, she filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences, and requested full custody of Morgan, then 16, along with spousal support. Their divorce was finalized in December 2014. After his split from Dina, Eastwood was romantically linked to several younger women. Photographer Erica Tomlinson Fisher, producer Noor Alfallah, and Christina Sandera, a restaurant hostess. He and Sandera started seeing each other in 2014, although they kept things quiet and never publicly confirmed the relationship. In September 2024, a report surfaced that Eastwood already had a new girlfriend. Her identity hasn't been made public. Even with all the public relationships and children known to the media, Eastwood's family tree has remained something of a mystery. Biographer Patrick McGilligan once said, "The people who know Clint best suspect there are other families in his closet. Some even believe there may be more." A now-defunct website, once run by Eastwood's cousin, claimed another child named Leslie, born in 1959, came from a relationship with a woman named Rosina Mary Glenn. Eastwood has never confirmed or denied it. In a 1997 interview on 60 Minutes, Steve Croft asked him point-blank how many children he had. Eastwood simply replied, "I have a few," then stared in silence for a long moment. It was clear Clint had no interest in discussing the topic. Lavish apartments. Clint Eastwood's private haven. Clint Eastwood has long called Carmel, California home. He's not just a resident there, though. Eastwood has deep roots in the community, and once even served as the town's mayor. His love for Carmel is mutual. Locals adore him, and he's given back in meaningful ways, from boosting tourism to showcasing the area in one of his films. One of his biggest contributions to the town is the Mission Ranch Hotel and Restaurant, a beautiful 22-acre property nestled where the Carmel River meets the Pacific Ocean, right near Point Lobos. The location alone is breathtaking, with its sweeping ocean views and peaceful wetlands. The ranch itself has a long history. He bought the ranch, saved it from demolition, and lovingly restored the entire place. Today, it's a charming getaway with 31 hotel rooms, a popular on-site restaurant, and even a herd of sheep that roam the grounds, a quirky and delightful sight for guests. Among his prized properties is a striking modern home in Bel Air, designed by renowned architect Paul McLean. Completed in August 2014, the house blends style and practicality in a way that feels effortless. This 7-bedroom, 12-bathroom masterpiece offers more than just space. It offers an experience. With sweeping panoramic views of the city, the home was clearly designed to please the senses. Every room, every finish feels deliberate. Eastwood also owns a spectacular estate in Sun Valley, Idaho, a property with just as much character and history. Spanning 12 acres, this estate is nestled near the scenic slopes of Sun Valley, offering incredible views of Bald Mountain and the Smoky and Boulder Mountains. It's a peaceful hideaway, yet close enough to the famous ski scene. The estate is divided into 3 main areas: a 6,000 square foot main house, a spacious guest house, and a party barn that lives up to its name. The main home is a modern craftsman design with 5 bedrooms, 5.5 bathrooms, a cozy study, and wide-open living and dining spaces framed by large windows that soak in the mountain views. The guest house, about 2,000 square feet, includes 2 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms, with a touch of old Hollywood charm. That's no coincidence. It was a filming location for the 1956 movie Bus Stop, starring Marilyn Monroe. Then there's the party barn, 3,000 square feet of entertaining space, complete with a dorm-style room, a full kitchen, living area, baths, a patio, conservatory, and multiple heated garages. Outside, the estate continues to impress. It features a 3-car garage, a hot tub under the stars, a massive fire pit, and tranquil terraces with water features. Mahogany wood and stone details give the place a warm, timeless touch, while an artificial lake adds to the calm and private setting. Clint Eastwood is parting ways with one of his stunning properties, this time in Pebble Beach, California. Sitting on nearly 5 acres of guarded, gated land, this estate served as a backdrop for scenes from Mrs. Eastwood and Company, the short-lived reality show starring Clint's ex-wife, Dina. Now listed at a staggering $9.75 million, the home, known as Hacienda Este Madera, is up for sale. That's quite the leap from the $3.9 million it last sold for back in 1994. At about 6,922 square feet, the mansion includes 6 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms. The main living area boasts breathtaking ocean views, exposed hand-hewn wood beams, and thick adobe walls. The vibe is classic Spanish Revival. Step outside, and you're greeted by a stone terrace that leads to a lush, sprawling lawn and garden, perfect for enjoying that cool coastal breeze. Fast lanes and classic rides. Clint's car collection. From classic British roadsters to American muscle and even modern electric cars, Eastwood's garage is filled with personality, stories, and a touch of rebellion. Let's start with one of the most eye-catching pieces, a Jaguar XK 150 Roadster from 1960. Painted in a crisp white finish, this British classic was one of Clint's personal favorites. It stood out in his mostly American lineup, reflecting his appreciation for elegant design and open-air cruising. Another British icon in his collection is the 1955 Austin Healey. The rawhide actor proudly owned this humble yet stylish sports car. Then there's the 1966 Morris Mini Countryman Cooper S, a quirky and retro cool wagon that perfectly blended style with practicality. Clint had his painted in British racing green, giving it a bold but classic edge. One of the more surprising additions to his collection is the 2014 Fiat 500e, a compact electric car that might seem out of place for a man known for his gruff, old-school roles. Despite having the means to go for something flashier, he stuck with the Fiat. Of course, we can't talk about Clint Eastwood without mentioning the 1972 Ford Gran Torino Sport, the very same car he drove in the film Gran Torino. Painted in green and powered by a roaring V8, the car is not just a prop, it's part of his personal collection. Clint also kept things nostalgic with a 1955 Cadillac Eldorado Series 62 convertible, which made an appearance in pink Cadillac. Another sentimental gem is the 1937 Lincoln K Series convertible, featured in Honky Tonk Man, a film about a Western singer's final road trip. Then there's the muscle and drama of the 1977 Pontiac Trans Am Special Edition, which Clint drove in Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. And yes, Clint does have a Ferrari or two. His 1978 Ferrari 308 GTB, designed by Pininfarina, was hot red and bold, much like his later Ferrari 488 GTB. One of the most valuable pieces in his collection is the Ferrari 275 GTB, a gift from Italian producer Dino De Laurentiis for Clint's appearance in The Witches. Today, that car is valued at over $1.7 million. Let's not forget the 1992 GMC Typhoon, a high-performance SUV that Clint still drove well into his 80s. He once mentioned it on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, showing off his taste for rare, powerful vehicles with a practical edge. Aging like a legend, Clint's lifestyle at 94. At 94, Clint Eastwood is still going strong. He's not just enjoying retirement or resting on his legacy, he's still behind the camera, directing films, and doing what he loves most, telling stories. His latest project, Juror Number 2, 2024, is proof that passion doesn't retire with age. So how does Clint Eastwood manage to stay this sharp and active in his 9th decade? It comes down to a simple but steady routine built on healthy habits, moderation, and a positive outlook. When it comes to food, Clint keeps it lean and clean. His meals are centered around lean proteins like chicken and salmon, the kind of foods that support muscle strength and keep him full without feeling heavy. He follows what's called the 90-10ths rule. 90% of the time, he eats with intention and discipline. The other 10%, he lets himself enjoy the occasional indulgence. Staying physically active is just as important to him. Golfing, walking outdoors, being in nature. These keep his body engaged and his mind clear. Even now, Clint can lift more weight than most men half his age, though he's careful to keep his workouts moderate and sustainable. Over the years, he's leaned into practices that support his overall well-being. One of those is transcendental meditation. Clint Eastwood's lifestyle is what has helped him age with such strength, grace, and purpose. If you enjoyed this video, let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more interesting stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.